Welcome to this PHP tutorial on how to install phpBB, which is a bulletin board system developed in PHP. Now, the first thing I'll need to mention is that I'm installing this on a local server, so I'm going to be using localhost. Now, probably the best thing to do if you're trying to learn how to install phpBB and you want to just test run it to set up, the best thing to do would be use a local server. And I do have a tutorial on how to set up XAMPP, which will allow you to run PHP and other sort of files from your computer as it acts as a web server. So the first thing we want to do is we want to come into phpBB.com and we're going to come to downloads, and we're always going to choose latest version. So if we click on this, we're going to come down here. So the latest version is important because we have security issues, update issues, functionality issues that we want to keep at their very most updated. So what we can do is we can come across here and we've got update to stable release, download language packs. This is for if you want to update your phpBB version. So what we want to do is instead we want to download full package. So if we come down here, this is the full package, and I'm going to be downloading the zip file. So if we click on this, we'll see that we get a message to download. It's pretty simple, and that's downloaded. Now I already have this. The reason it was so quick is I already have a copy of this, and what I've done is I've transferred this to my htdocs folder inside XAMPP, and this is inside my C drive. So this is basically the folder that's initially publicly accessible, or rather locally accessible through your local host, and this is in here, localhost / and whatever you need after this, and we're going to be installing it in /forum. So in effect, this htdocs is our root directory. Okay, now here's our installation. I've already copied it over. I did that before the tutorial, so it hasn't just appeared here. You'll need to copy it over from your downloads file, wherever your downloads are stored. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this and I'm going to click extract here. And what that's doing is just extracting that to the internal folder called phpBB3. Okay, what we can do now is delete this package, and when we click on this we can see that the files contained within, let's just make this a bit smaller, the files contained within are the files that are part of the phpBB package. So we've got all the folders here with the install directory, which is important to us now, and the files, so for example the index.php, everything that's contained within. You've also got styles here, which are the styles that you can copy over to install everything, but obviously in this tutorial I'm just going to be focusing on the installation. So this is the most important folder that we need now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here and well, in fact what I'm going to do is we're going to come back here, go back, we've got this default, it's extracted as phpBB3, which is the folder. I'm going to rename this to forum. So because we're working inside htdocs, this will be htdocs /forum, or / in Windows case. Pressing enter, and this is where the user will be redirected. So localhost / forum. Okay, so it's automatically directed us to our install directory, and we're greeted with a little message. We have some tabs up here, convert, install. What we're doing is we're choosing the install tab, and it will give us some information about the install. So read this before you proceed, and then we want to proceed to the next step. All it's talking about is a lot sort of database issues, things like that. So proceed to the next step. Okay, so what this will do is check the installation compatibility. So upon first glance of this list, I am passing everything with my current web server that's been installed. So my PHP version is acceptable. That this is my PHP version at the moment, and it requires 4.3.3. Other options, this one is register globals, and it's either way acceptable, yes or no, but obviously it's recommended. Now these are optional, and this one's optional. This is required with a get image size. If any of these return an error, so either no and they are required, what you'll need to do is Google, obviously sounds silly, but it's a very good option for seeing how to enable these functions, how to change things, and why your PHP installation could have got phpBB installation could have gone wrong. So check these, that they are required, and if you're having problems, then you can look around how to enable specific functions. If you have installed a fresh copy of XAMPP, then it should be fine. However, if you are using, say, just a Apache server and PHP installation, you may not have things enabled. However, for now this has worked. Also, when you're uploading to a global server, so hosted, if you have web hosting, then these should all be these should all pass anyway. These are pretty straightforward, they're not really worth talking about. Supported databases. Now obviously the database is very important because we are using a database. Now to have MySQL enabled is probably the best option. You are looking at a MySQL server, which is what you need, one of the databases that you can use. These are unavailable for me, but I'm not bothered because I'm going to be using MySQL to store data. I just find it the easiest. You can use phpMyAdmin to manage your data if you need to go into the database internally. So we have a number of options available, so this is not a worry. MySQL I'm using. Optional modules. So like it says, these modules are, or applications are optional. It will enable extra features. So we've got compression support for compressing files into packages, remote FTP support, GD graphics support. These all come with XAMPP, so if you are using a local server and you're testing this, then it's fine. If you're using it like again on a hosted server, they should all be available if your hosting is good. So files and directories, we've got these files inside, which is cache files or cache files and store. These are all inside here. So we've got cache there, files and store. Now these are all writable directories that phpBB needs to write to throughout its process of people using the forum and you using the forum. So it's important that these are writable. If they're unwritable, you can right click and you choose properties inside Windows and change these. If you're using cPanel, say if you're using that for your hosting, then this can be changed, the permissions can be changed. Okay, so optional files and directories, config.php, image avatars upload. So this would be obviously for avatars that want to be uploaded. Okay, so everything is found and writable in this respect, and we have these features available, and we've got a database available. So everything important is available, and we have this option here, start install. This is automatically detected that everything is fine, so I can start the installation. So I'm going to click that. Now what we need to do is set up our database. Again, like I said, I'm using MySQL, so I'm clicking, choosing this from the drop down menu, MySQL. Now because I'm running on a local server, this is going to be the local host. You can see it's already there. The port isn't too much of a problem. If you have manually changed this yourself, you'll need to specify a port, but by default we can leave this blank because it'll automatically detect the default port for an SQL server. Now the database name, I'm going to be calling the database name forum. My database username, I'm going to be called Alex. I'm going to have Alex as the database username, and the password I'm just going to set there. Okay, so we haven't actually created this database called forum. If we were to proceed to next step, the prefix, by the way, is just the prefix for the tables in the database. This isn't anything you need to worry about. I would just leave it as it is. So proceed to next step. You'll see we were returned with an error. This is could not connect to database. Access denied for Alex at localhost using password yes. Sorry, this is going to be root. That's my root password, and my username is root and my password is blank. I'm using my local server. I don't have a password set and my username is root. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to find out your database username and password, and to do this what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up phpMyAdmin. This should come with XAMPP anyway, so it's just localhost /phpMyAdmin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to MySQL, the table here, and come down to user. This is a table user, and then you can see here that we've got localhost for the host, root for the username, and no password. So this and this here is what you're going to need to enter here and here. It's not advisable not to have a password, but for now I'm using my laptop, which doesn't have an internet connection most of the time, so this is acceptable. And obviously localhost here is our server. We're running on a local host. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, again like I tried before, I'm going to proceed to next step, and we will receive an error, and this is unknown database forum. Now the reason for this is phpBB installation will not create this for you. You'll have to create it manually. So we come to phpMyAdmin, and if you're creating a database on a hosted web server, so you've paid for hosting, inside cPanel you'll have an option to create databases and assign users to them databases, in which case this will change to your host. So mine would be phpacademy.org. Or you can still use localhost if it's in web hosting. The server port will remain blank because it should default. Database name is as you choose, and the database username and password will be what you have set in your control panel for your hosting. So whatever you've set, then obviously you can add your username and password here. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going back to home, and what we're doing now is we're creating this database name because we've received the error unknown database forum. I'm simply under create new database, I'm going to be typing forum. Now inside cPanel for hosted installations, you will not receive this area here to create a new database. What you'll need to do is create a new database in your control panel, and that's under the MySQL databases button. So for now obviously I'm using localhost, so I'm going to click create, and that's created that database. We don't need to put anything in it because phpBB will do that for us, but this error message will no longer appear when we click proceed to next step. We've created this database, so proceed. Successful connection. We've successfully connected to the database. Proceeding to the next step, we're going to set up the administrator configuration. Now the administrator username I'm going to keep as Alex. Obviously choose the default board language. You can add languages, but I'm not going to speak about that today. Administrator password, set a strong password. I'm just typing password in as mine for now, but set a nice strong password. This will deter people that are trying to log in as you for the administrator control panel. So I'm going to confirm this, it's just password. My email address, this would typically be your just usable email address. I'm just using alex@localhost.com. Just simply I'm installing on localhost. This isn't a real email address, but this is where you would put your email address. And now we're proceeding to the next step, and administrator settings, the tests have passed, so we can proceed again. Okay, the configuration file has now been written, so all your configuration has been written. We can then proceed to the next step. Now these are typical settings that you might want to change. enable board-wide emails. I strongly suggest you enable this. That way emails will be sent by the board when people register. So if people register, they're going to receive a confirmation email. So this is highly recommended. You can use SMTP server for an email, but if you click no and you have a mail function that will send out mail, particularly if you are on web paid hosting, the mail function will work and you will be able to send mail. So I always keep this as no for now. And server URL settings, cookie secure. This is for SSL installations if you're using an SSL registered domain. Forced server URL settings, I would just leave this as no for now. Server protocol http://. So this is as you would expect. If it is a secure server, you would add HTTPS. Domain name is localhost, so I am running it on localhost. If you're running on paid hosting, say phpacademy.org, this would mean that I would choose this domain name. But for now, we're running localhost. Server port, leave this to blank. This is the default HTTP server port. And script path is /forum, which we have determined here. So we've got htdocs, which is in effect the root, so it'll be localhost /forum. And we can now proceed to the next step. Okay, so the database tables used by PHP 3 have been created and populated with initial data. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back to here where we have forum with no tables found in the database. If I go back to home, you'll quickly see that PHP, forum, has now 62 tables. So phpBB has installed, it's used SQL query data to install all of these tables, or create all of these tables for us. So this is our data. You don't really need to worry too much about this, but this is just shown how the automated process has installed or created your tables for you. So now we can proceed to the next step. Okay, so we're greeted by a congratulations message, and we've installed it successfully. Now we can click this login button here, and what this will do is it will take us straight to our administrator control panel, or our administration control panel. And here what you can do is you can click on forums, the tab, create categories, things like that. It's something that you'll have to get used to. You can change styles of your board, you can install styles of your board, but this is all, if you go onto the phpBB website, you can gain some information on how to sort of use this and how to install things. So if we proceed to the board index, which will be what our forum looks like to normal users, you'll see that we get this information dialog come up here. It's please delete, move or rename the install directory before you use your board. Now I strongly recommend, you can't use your forum until you delete it or rename it or move it. What I suggest you do is actually delete it. Now to do this, we're going to come into forum, and let's just change the size of these, and we're going to delete this install directory. So simply just delete, and we're going to delete that. So now what we do is we can refresh, and you'll see that our forum has properly appeared now, and we've got our first forum, and there's a post here, welcome to phpB3. So we've got initial post is by myself. Obviously this is automatically posted. I can then post a reply. So view your submitted message. Everything is working. I'm obviously the only user at the moment, and this is a successful phpBB installation. Now what we can do is actually, once we've logged in as myself, so I'm logged in as Alex, we can use the administrator control panel, which will pop up at the bottom only for yourself. To access this, obviously just click on that link and it will take you into the administrator control panel. So we've successfully installed phpBB. It would have taken me longer to run through problems you may encounter while you're installing, but this is the general idea of installing it. Obviously, like I said, it's different on a paid hosting server where you may be using cPanel. You're going to have to create the databases by yourself inside the cPanel, but as long as you know how to use your hosting, then you should be able to install phpBB and successfully do that. Now, I've just noticed there's the config file.php is currently world writable. We strongly change the permissions to 640 or at least to 644. So to do this inside, I'm not going to explain now, but inside our cPanel and inside our file manager, we would have to change this. If you were to log into your cPanel hosting and go to file manager, you can change these at the sides of each file. So you would locate config.php, which is here, and next to this in cPanel you would see being able to chmod the particular file and just change this to 640. So that was how to install phpBB. If you have any questions or you'd like me to update this video or add anything else on this video, then just simply comment the video or message me on YouTube, and I'll happily try and make a modification of the video or tailor it to a specific person's needs. So yeah, that's basically it. So good luck with your phpBB installation, and I will see you soon.